Hello, listeners. John here with a brief note about upcoming episodes with Hennepin County Board candidates, including the one you're about to listen to. The Hennepin County DFL convention is Saturday, June 13th, so just under a week away. I don't want anyone to read into the fact that I've only published one District 3 candidate conversation ahead of that convention. Today's guest, Kevin Chavis, made himself available, and it's only fair to publish that conversation pre-convention. That's not an endorsement, not intended as a slight to the other candidates. It's just, this is my fault. I dropped the ball on scheduling. More candidates are coming post-convention, including in other districts. Thank you for listening, and here's the episode.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
We are back on the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Joining me today is Kevin Chavis. It is Chavis. It's not, if you're calling him Kevin Chavis out there, you're wrong. I've always known you're wrong. I just asked him before the episode. Definitely not Kevin Chavis. It's Kevin Chavis. Get it right. A county employee running for the Hennepin County Board in District 3, which is the seat currently occupied by Marion Green. So, Kevin, why not another term of Marion Green? What is the problem? Why are we trying to shove her out of the way?
So I look at elections, each and every election, as as something new. You know, essentially you have to prove that you deserve another term if you're running for your election, but also new people should feel free to jump in at any time. And I really think that the county does amazing work. In fact, there's so much work, I don't think any single person can fully understand everything that it does, unless maybe they are on the board for a while. And I think that it's critically important that we show up right now in these midterms. And so I looked at all the folks. I knew that there was definitely going to be folks running for office this year in this position, given the fact that the commissioners tried to vote themselves a nearly 50% raise. And I felt like this was a good time to step up, especially when county workers are feeling the brunt of some of the biggest budget cuts we've ever seen in our lifetime due to Trump's tax cuts for billionaires that cut medical assistance and other government funding for states and county governments. So I felt like this was a time to really step up and show how important the county is and how important the work that county workers do.
You know, what's the first issue that you want to talk about here on this episode? What is your number one issue as you're running?
Oh, man. I mean, number one, there's so many different issues. I on the campaign trail, I've been saying my big three issues are affordability, taking care of our environment, and holding government accountable. But I also support workers' rights, and that kind of hits on all those things because the county workers also support the constituents of the county. So I guess you could say that is one of my top issues because I think that the county commissioners should be listening to frontline workers more, especially given the budget cuts, because creativity and new insight and new ideas to making our government work better can come from anyone and everyone, including frontline workers. It doesn't have to always come from the top level administrators.
You know what my top issue, the issue that I selfishly want to talk about here at the very beginning? Can you guess? Can you guess what my top issue is?
It's probably not Lindale, is it?
It definitely is Lindale. Are you being facetious right now?
Potentially.
Okay. Definitely is Lindale Avenue and transportation because I live so close to it. And it has felt like the longest slog in the world, this engagement process and deciding how it's going to be designed and reconstructed. 92-year-old street. Did you know that?
Yes, it's pretty old. A lot of our streets in Minneapolis are old, but that one in particular, I think about some of the flooding that's happened on Lyndale, especially right by the Wedge. It's pretty awful. And so, given the fact that global warming, climate change is not going away anytime soon, we really need to address that because there's going to be more floods if we don't address that and address the street and improve our infrastructure, especially right now.
Where do you live?
So currently I live on Franklin Avenue in the Whittier neighborhood, so not too far.
Oh, geez. Wow. That's ground zero for a terrible street. You're having Franklin reconstructed. Do you live right on Franklin Avenue?
I do, yes. Yep.
Wow. Wow. How long have you lived on Franklin?
So it's going on, I want to say 12 years now. Before that, I kind of bounced around the city up and down Franklin. I lived in the Wedge for a little while on Bryant, an apartment there, and also East Phillips, and then Stevens Square for a little bit. I moved to Minneapolis in 2002, so I've been here for a while.
Are you ecstatic about the reconstruction on Franklin, what they're doing there?
I'm ecstatic for it to be over. I believe there will be some more bike lanes, and so I'm kind of excited about that it's more bikeable. Yeah. I liked what they did further out on East Franklin and Seward, and so I am frankly excited for the changes on Franklin.
I'm very excited. In the time that I've lived in the Wedge, we've done Hennepin. We did the little strip of Franklin that is just to the west of the stretch and in front of where you live that's getting reconstructed now. We're about to do Lyndale. So you were at that gripe session. I call it a gripe session recently about Lyndale Avenue. We're having another one in a couple of days, which will be before this episode comes out, where Andrea Corbin is bringing the mayor to this meeting for another gripe session. I'm very excited to see how that one turns out. But what do you think of the proposed new design for Lyndale Avenue? Do you think it's a good one? Something you would support?
Overall, it's a good plan. I would support it. I do see a bit of issue with those who are biking between, I believe, 28th and Lake Street, 31st. So it would be great if the entire length of the street was bikeable. But that's my main concern. But otherwise, it seems like a really good plan. I do like the fact that there's a connection now on Lyndale that connects further north of Franklin there. So that's a great deal because right now you just kind of drop off in the middle of nowhere. As someone who doesn't own a vehicle, who bikes and uses transit, I think it's a huge win.
Okay, so you would support the direction that we're going where we are prioritizing more bike infrastructure, better transit infrastructure, designing our streets for these things, and occasionally stepping on that third rail of eliminating some parking spots occasionally.
I mean, there's a lot of parking in Minneapolis as is. And if you have to walk a block or two, that's fine. Folks that live in the suburbs and park, the equivalent of blocks from the main entrance of some of the stores. So I don't see it as a big issue. If people really want to get somewhere, they will find a parking spot and get there.
Okay. How do we feel about medians? Medians have become a real hot button in my neck of the woods.
I found that fascinating that there was such opposition to medians. I don't see a problem with it as well. I don't think it's going to impede on the traffic flow as much as people think it will.
Well, you're not going to win the Will Stansel endorsement with that kind of talk. He's the number one agitator against the medians on Blue Sky. I don't know if you're aware.
I am not aware.
Are you very active on Blue Sky? Are you a big poster?
Not really. To be honest, social media, especially with some of the AI driven stuff that I'm seeing out there, I've just been kind of driven away from social media these days. So I haven't been posting as much. If I see an important news article, I'll share it. If if the Peggy Flanagan team has a great post that they want retweeted, I'll retweet it. But that's kind of the limit to my social media these days, other than my campaign.
Are you a big Peggy Flanagan person?
I am. Yeah, I've been a big fan of Peggy for a very long time. I felt that the Tim Walz Flanagan campaign was extremely smart. I mean, he was extremely smart to pick her, because I feel like, yeah, he's considered more of a centrist or moderate in the party. I would say he has some progressive tendencies, but the fact that he picked Peggy as well kind of solidified the party and built party unity. So I thought that was a smart pick. And I really think that if you're running for the executive, for the state or national, you should really think about picking a running mate who's going to unite the party. And I was glad to see Peggy a part of that. And I'm glad to see her running for Senate.
Let us shift gears to homelessness. What more should the county be doing to address homelessness, you think? Because it seems like the thing that we can't solve that is actually at the heart of the public safety conversation. I've been kind of frustrated, the conversation about Uptown. People make it seem like it's a public safety thing when it really is a homelessness thing. And I have a lot of sympathy for property owners, business owners who are like, we can't have people sleeping and using drugs and going to the bathroom in front of our properties. Like, I agree. You should expect the government to address those things. But it's also like not a crime, a violent crime thing. That's not what the issue is. It's a homelessness issue, and we cannot seem to solve it. Like, what more can the county be doing?
So there's always more the county and our local governments can be doing to try to address the housing situation. And it's not just unique to Minneapolis. I've been following other cities around the country and around the world. I mean, there's a town, a couple thousand miles north of us called Yellowknife in Northwest Territories, Ontario, 20,000 people, and they have a homeless crisis there too, very similar to ours. And so they have, just like we have, they have a team. They have a team, or just like Hennepin County has a team, healthcare for the homeless, and then also a homeless to housing team that tries to get people into housing. I do think that the solution, there are multiple different solutions. One is we just need more housing in general. Housing is increasingly unaffordable for folks, and that can lead people to kind of spiral into these kind of negativity, and people do fall into addiction for many different reasons, not just for housing. And so we need to treat it as a public health issue more than anything else. We need to continue to meet with folks where they're at and try to get them assistance where they're at. If they're willing to go to treatment, we should be supporting them in that, finding them transitional housing and other relevant housing for them to see their lives improve. And I think it's a difficult situation because each person is going to be in a different, unique situation, but we need to get people housed. And I do think there is a big issue with folks bringing up drug use on the streets. And other cities and other countries, I believe it started in Switzerland, where they would have locations where people can safely use drugs under being monitored by professional staff to make sure that people don't overdose. And they can also test their drugs and so forth. I know it's a controversial subject matter, but I do think it's important for us to try to keep people alive and also keep keep folks out of the public way when they're using drugs. I don't think that we want to see people using drugs on our streets. But it is difficult to avoid if we don't have any alternatives or places for people to go where they can safely use them.
It seems like the big strategy on the city side lately in Uptown has been to basically trespass people, like encouraging property owners, post the no trespassing sign. That gives MPD the opportunity to, cite people, move them along, things like that. Are there like immediate things the county should be doing better that is not like build more housing, which is a long-term thing, and definitely need to do that. But like, are there immediate, like responding to the crisis right now kind of things the county should be doing? Or is that really just something to be left to the city to manage their public spaces?
I think it's both. I mean, we do have a healthcare for the homeless team that does meet with folks and tries to assist them where they're at to get the care that they need. But it's still not enough. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult situation, right? Like if you're just asking folks to leave a certain area, they're just going to move to a different area. You're basically pushing the problem around the city, and nothing. And
it becomes a thing where like the squeakiest neighborhoods have their streets cleared of the problem, and neighborhoods that maybe aren't as powerful, don't have as big a voice, they're not going to get the response as urgently as some other places will.
No, and just people get pushed to the margins again and again.
So did we solve homelessness? Do you feel like we did in this brief conversation?
You know, I actually thought that Mayor Fry said he was going to end that in his first term.
He did. Are you attacking Mayor Fry? You're running for the county board. How dare you attack Mayor Fry as you're running for the county board? Those are two different levels of government.
Yeah. I mean, it's what he said.
How do you feel like the county and the city are doing coordinating? Am I right that this is like your area of work?
My area of work, coordinating with the city?
Not coordinating with the city, but like homelessness, addiction.
So I help people who are going to inpatient treatment kind of navigate the bureaucratic system that is our government to make sure that they can get their cash assistance and housing while they're going to treatment. So I meet with folks going to treatment.
And how do you feel like the county and the city are doing coordinating? Do you have an assessment of that?
You know, I think that local government can always do more. I do, and there are ways we could improve coordination. I mean, I know the county is trying in many different ways, including, as you said earlier, like in the Lindale project, which the county could just make decisions on its own, but it's working with the city to see that any plans that go forward are agreeable to the city as well.
Let's go on to public safety. This has been another kind of flare up between the sheriff and the county board. Do you believe the sheriff's department is adequately funded?
I think the sheriff's department is adequately funded. They've had their funding increase several times over the last few years. And now they're going through the budget fairly quickly. From what I understand, they are well over budget already this year. And I think that they should really have some answers to the public as to why they're spending so much. And I know that the county board has approved it nonetheless, but I do think that if we are going to have sheriff deputies trying to de-escalate situations at Whipple, I think putting people in chokeholds is not the way to go. And I also think there needs to be better communication as far as the fact that the sheriff should be stating that they're not working directly with ICE. They should talk about, I would love to see the sheriff come on and talk about how they want to make sure that our elections are safe this fall, because the president has stated that ICE may show up at the polling places, and some of his other supporters have said similar things. And I find that very concerning, and I would much rather to have the sheriff on our side in this election and these midterms, especially when democracy is really on the line this year more than ever.
Federal cuts to Medicaid are on the way. They're restricting eligibility. How do you protect people in clinics from these what amount to cuts because they're restricting eligibility for Medicaid? It feels like a crisis is coming.
Correct. I'd say the crisis is already here, and it's going to continue to kind of snowball into 2027. And next year is going to be when some of the bigger cuts come. Essentially, they're throwing more bureaucracy in the way of folks being able to maintain their health insurance by requiring more paperwork at 6 months and each year for folks. And they're reducing those who qualify as well. They're also reducing the amount of subsidies for folks who are in MNsure. So we have a full-blown healthcare crisis that's going to continue to get worse. It's one of the reasons why HCMC Hennepin Healthcare was under such dire fiscal constraints this year. It would have closed this next month had the state not come in and found $200 million. I believe it's now they have an additional $500 million that they can tap into. But that is only a temporary fix. I think a lot of folks are hoping that there are some changes in the midterm or in 2028. But I do think that we are in a real crisis, and folks that are losing their health insurance, folks that are going to want government assistance are going to find that the funding for some of the staff there have been cut such that there may not be as many staff to assist, and so some of the paperwork gets further and further behind because the government is, instead of, I believe it was for some of the financial assistance programs, including medical assistance, the government was providing 50% of paying for 50% of the cost for the staff to kind of upkeep those programs, and that's being reduced to 25%. So states and counties have to use more of their own money to fund the staff who actually administer these programs, and that's going to be felt not just here in Hennepin County, that's going to be felt throughout the state and in the country. And so what we need to figure out here in Minnesota, me specifically, I'm honing in on Hennepin County, but I do think the whole state, this is a statewide and national issue. So I'm hoping the state jumps in and is able to assist in keeping these programs going and making sure people have the health care and the health insurance that they need. And at the very least, we want to keep Hennepin healthcare open, because if we can get past these next 2 to 4 years, ideally, I'd love to see the United States move to a single payer healthcare system such that we aren't dealing with insurance companies anymore, that people just get the care they need. And then Hennepin healthcare would be funded because even everyone would be covered. I mean, that's kind of the goal that I would love to see happen. Will we get there? Well, that remains to be seen. We're in a really precarious spot, but I also am hopeful that we're going to see some major changes in the next 4 years.
That would be nice because I'm so focused on healthcare. I don't know if it's because so many people are on employer insurance and they maybe are not subjected to the private market, or they don't know people who are on Medicaid, but this feels like something that people should be rioting in the streets over because it's awful. People are going to die. So property taxes. Do you have any big ideas about how to keep property taxes from exploding, or are you going to be patching so many holes from the money the feds are yanking away that we have no hope of keeping property taxes from rising to a crazy degree?
So I know St. Louis County increased their taxes significantly this last year. I think it was like 12%. I don't think we need to, I would ideally not want us to see us move in that direction. Because we should instead have more progressive taxes instead of property taxes. Ideally, we should see more the state kind of stepping in and providing more county aid and more local government aid to make sure that we can continue to fund these programs. I would like to see Representative Aisha Gomez's plan to actually tax the rich commensurate to how much they received in tax cuts from Trump's bill, so that money.
Oh, really? Are we gonna claw back the tax cuts? Is that the big idea?
I would love to see that happen, because it is already costing us significantly, and I think that people want to see a high quality of life here in Minnesota, and the only way to be able to maintain that is to make sure that the services can continue for folks, especially folks that are the most vulnerable, because like you said, otherwise we're going to see people die.
The fix for HCMC, I understand that it's $205 million for the hospital plus a $500 million statewide fund. Are you happy with that outcome? Do you see next steps being required after that?
So I'm happy with it in that it will keep it open for the next few years. I would say I would say it should last through 2028. I think it will need more money. I know that currently the county, and I support the county's plan to change the ballpark tax into a sales tax that will fund Hennepin healthcare at 1%. But I think that the state should also have a match, given the fact that so many folks come to HCMC from outside of Hennepin County. This shouldn't be a tax that Hennepin County alone has to take on it as its burden, because this is not just a county asset. This is a regional asset.
I believe I got this from your website. Innovative housing solutions. Is that a phrase you would use on your website? Do you recognize that?
I mean, sure. I mean, I might have that on my website. I do know that some of my housing ideas include building on community land trusts. And the reason why is because community land trusts maintain affordability long term, not just 30 years. A lot of times the county will give grants to developers, and as long as they maintain affordability for a set period of time, usually it's around 30 years or so, they're able to, get these grants to help build affordable housing in the metro. I think if we had them built on community land trusts, that could build affordability long term. I also support transit-oriented development. And land trusts aren't just for housing. You could also have a commercial building there too. So it could be a commercial and housing mixed-use development on a land trust. And the reason I support land trust is because the people who live there decide the future of that land. The people who are part of the land trust decide what does the future of that look like, instead of just being solely about speculation. And I think that housing is a human right and people deserve housing. And so this is one way we can keep it affordable, but also more democratic.
Any other innovative housing solutions you have besides land trusts? Got other ideas?
Well, those are the main two that I have at the moment. I will be up for any and all unique solutions to our housing situation. I know that we pay into an affordable housing trust fund that the county manages, and I just think that that's one of the top issues people talk about all the time is affordability and housing. And
let us talk about the garbage burner, the HERC. What do you see as the prerequisites that need to be achieved before the HERC can be closed?
Yeah, so I do think that there needs to be more accessibility to composting and recycling. A lot of multifamily housing are excluded. A lot of businesses aren't mandated to recycle or compost. And I think that it should just be mandatory, that people are able to recycle and compost. And I think there needs to be more education. I think this needs to be ongoing. I want to say it's what Xcel Energy and NSP, you get your bills sometimes and it shows you how are you doing on your energy. I think there should be something similar to our garbage and waste. Like, how are you doing on your recycling and composting? And how is our community doing? Are we improving? Are we not? And how can we get to a place where we are recycling and composting more? But it's not just a county issue. It's also a statewide issue as well. The state could decide, okay, well, these certain materials, we can't use them again, and we can't recycle them. So let's talk about banning certain products like black plastics. And we banned forever chemicals. I think we should ban things that are harming our local environments and aren't allowing us to use them again.
The debate, as I understand it, and I haven't been following it super closely, is that landfills have their issues. You got to truck the stuff out to landfills. You've got the methane that's produced by landfills, and that this is a state-of-the-art, high-tech garbage burner. We're scrubbing the air, and when you compare it to the emissions from traffic on our interstates, car traffic, it's like a tiny drop in the bucket compared to what we're doing with car travel in terms of air pollution. is the alternative sending the stuff out to landfills? Like, would that be acceptable to you to shut down the garbage burner if it meant putting the trash in landfills?
The only way I would support that is if there was a robust plan to reduce the amount of materials that are being sent there significantly. And that would include a robust plan for more recycling and composting. But I'd have to see that from the city and from other local governments here in Hennepin County before I would really feel comfortable in closing it. Just because if you are, then like you said, you're going to see more methane. You're going to see, and that's not going to be helpful either. But it's going to take multiple agencies to get this working.
Yeah, I don't even know if this is a reasonable question to ask, but like, what kind of reduction in like numerical terms? You don't have to give me like an exact percent, but like what kind of reduction in our waste? Do we have to get to zero waste for this to be a viable thing, or somewhere in between?
I mean, I would say, ideally 65% should be diverted at the very least.
From where we are now.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I believe I'm at the end. Is there anything we didn't get to that we should be talking about?
Let's see. Well, I do support workers' rights, and I do think that one of the main reasons I'm running is because workers at Hennepin County have felt ignored by the commissioners, and I really feel that I would shine a light on workers in every job class, including at Hennepin Healthcare at HCMC. I know that some of the workers there have been bringing up concerns in the workplace and how to improve patient care, and instead of feeling like they're being heard, they're being retaliated. They feel like they're being retaliated against. They're facing repercussions from management. And I don't think that's acceptable. And I think that when you're a commissioner, you should be willing to meet with workers, including the unions that represent the workers, to have a discussion and to find a solution and make sure that we are taking care of our residents as best as possible. So that's what really fires me up, is supporting workers and residents and making sure people are taken care of in every aspect of the work that the county does, from the libraries to the service centers to Hennepin Healthcare HCMC. I think it's super important, the work that the county is doing. And a lot of people don't always understand how many places we're at. So that's super important. I do also want to talk a little bit about making sure our government is accountable to average people. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities that happened during when ICE was here during Operation Metro Surge. Hennepin County could have, at the very least, connected people to their local mutual aid groups at the libraries, at the service center, and other front-facing places. I think that was a missed opportunity. I also think that when we're talking about the sheriffs, we should be, I think we should be more direct about our concerns about the fact that to many of our residents, it appears that the sheriffs are working too closely with ICE. And I don't think that's acceptable either, especially in this current environment.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Like, what do you feel like the county board's role is to hold the sheriff accountable? What should they be doing to keep the sheriff in line, make sure that she's operating her department in a way that you feel is appropriate?
I think that public scrutiny is incredibly important right now. I would call the sheriff to county board meetings for report backs, a regular report back on what's going on. Look into their spending, look into concerns we're hearing from residents, and ask tough questions like, how did this incident where a woman was put in a chokehold, how did this occur? And what are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? I think these are just simple questions of accountability that we need to see from our local elected officials. And I don't think we should shy away from that. I'm the kind of person that's, if we're going to take a stance as a county, then we shouldn't be afraid to speak to media, to speak to other elected officials, including the sheriff, to make sure that our residents are feeling heard and understood, and that we know that our county resources are being spent sufficiently and adequately, such that we actually do see a public safety system that works here in Hennepin County. I think there's a lot of mistrust in government, and I think that it's because people feel that people are not feeling that they're heard. They're not feeling that anyone has their backs. And I think that the county has a role as kind of an intergovernment agency to show some semblance of accountability, especially when we don't see it at the federal level. We should at the very least see it here at the local level.
So you're running for the DFL endorsement. Do I have that correct?
Correct. And I will say here today that I will abide by the DFL endorsement, because I think right now we need unity more than ever. I don't know if there's going to be an endorsement or not. There's 5 people running, but I'm not sure who's all going to be there at the convention. Yeah.
5?
That
Who's the 5th? Is there a new one? I've lost track.
He's not running for DFL, so I don't even know if he's filed yet. Oh. So
you don't have any predictions about whether there will be an endorsement?
I can't predict, because when I'm talking to delegates, and I've door knocked every single delegate so far throughout the district. So that includes St. Louis Park and Southwest Minneapolis, Bryn Mawr, and downtown. And a lot of people are undecided. A lot of the DFL delegates actually became delegates for either the county attorney's race or the sheriff. Very few have even thought about the commissioner's race. So whenever I'm talking to them, and even just today, a lot of them have not even considered the commissioner's race. So it's kind of up in the air as to how it will turn out.
And that is June 13th. Do I have that day right?
Correct. Saturday, June 13th. Yep.
Okay. It's coming up fast. I actually, I fudged up scheduling, so I don't know that I'm going to have all the candidates on before the DFL convention, or even that all will say yes. I know Marion Green is coming on.
Okay, I would hope so. You would.
Good luck the rest of the way. Kevin Chavis, candidate for Hennepin County Board in District 3.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here. And thank you for interviewing the folks for running for county board. I do wish this was a bike ride, though.
Yeah, I've been shying away from it because, you do one candidate in a race, they all expect it. And that the working to edit those episodes together is difficult and time consuming. And so if there are a bunch of candidates, I'm like, I'm not going to offer one a bike ride and then they all want to do a bike ride. I'm trying to save myself some work here. That's the explanation there.
I hear you.
I wish it could have been a bike ride, Kevin. This has been the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Thank you for listening.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.